It's going to be the package from China and maybe the ultimate one. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. In today's video we're going to be doing a review about this game player, born for game, okay. The thing is, what these lazy device is that this is also called the SF3000, like the Terminators, you know, like 1,000, 4,000. But what you're getting is always a little bit of a questionable situation. But this time with the SF3000 that I've reviewed some time ago, they actually made an improvement. Yep, they did, because now they implemented a normal D-pad and the software also has been improved. So let's do a quick overview what we're getting. So over here we're having the on and off switch over here. We're having two USB-C, and this seems to be the OTG port. This is just a USB-C for charging, and headphone jack, physical volume control, and we have micro switch, L and R buttons, but ooh, man, they have like a lot of resistance. We're having even an R2 and L2. Interesting, this is like an interesting choice. So it's not like the most comfortable situation, but I can actually press it, select home, start. We have an original, like say, analog stick, not like this on the Nintendo Switch. It looks a little bit like a Switch joystick, but we don't have to click. And of course the normal D-pad. And the D-pad, I can tell you, this feels quite sturdy. Oh man, a lot of resistance, but the travel is not too bad. Overall, if you're going to be looking at this, like the design, this simply designed with the stand, you can just put it on your table like that. I think it's kind of cool, and this feels quite nice. Like, it doesn't feel like really cheap. But let's turn it on and let's see what we're getting when it comes to the software, because in here they did some improving situation. The ABXY button, you can see we're having some really cool RGB going on. We can switch to a different color. That's kind of cool. We got a funky, let's say, relaxing music. But there's only one thing I already noticed, and this is like a general problem. Okay, so we're having over here the SD card, and what's the problem? There is no brand. And what is the problem with this is that I had a couple of these devices laying around just doing nothing, and after a couple of months, sometimes weeks, these cards don't work anymore, resulting that you have broken firmware. So I'm going to be needing to make an update about this, or at least like an update of the freaking, or backup of the freaking SD card after the review. Otherwise we're not going to be able to use this device, because finding new firmware is going to be an overall problem. You can see then when it comes to the LEDs, if you're going to be turning it on or off, whatever, everything you're going to be rebooting it will not remember what kind of settings. But let's take a close look at the menu and what can we actually do, because see, here we have some really cool new features. The menu is quite simple. So at the top, at the right top corner, we're going to be having the battery life. So we're having all kinds of different platforms. So this is not going to be like the most, let's say, ultimate device to actually, like, you can play, but they didn't even like change out the names, like that's so wrong. What the heck? You know, they have been messing around with this, like system 1, 2, 3. Don't actually say what kind of system it is, but you know, we know what it is. What the heck? Okay, so let's see how the menu will look. Oh, need to press A over here. It's kind of funny that they switch out the A and B all the freaking time with every single device. So they have like this short time, like I think this is like the memory file list. So we have a preview, so we actually know what's going on over here. But when it comes to, let's see, overall emulation performance, I think this can be run to PlayStation 1. Did we see PlayStation 1? I think it is. Like, we did see PlayStation 1 somewhere. But I think this is like kind of interesting that we're having these devices now that can play all the way to PlayStation, at least. We hope it can. Pressing start, we do nothing over here. But getting into the main menu, you can change out the language, button shown, the display. Let's see if we can change the brightness. Okay, that already have been set to maximum, but it's not to the point that it gets super bright. Sleep time is off, so there's nothing much I actually can do. I think you cannot. Can we shut down like the background music? No, can only shut down the tune itself. So that's it. That's it when it comes to the overall performance. So another thing I want to do, or the performance, I mean particularly when it comes to the menu and the options and everything. But let's check out the performance. So that's what I wanted to say. Don't you love those names are completely messed up? Oh man. But let's boot it up. Let's see how fast it actually loads up. Whoa, that was really fast. Let's press the home button. or can make a save, reprocess or load, what they say. You can even change the control settings, but there is no aspect ratio. Ooh, that's a little bit of a downside to that. Okay, but let's get into the game. So volume wise, I must say that I am really surprised how good this thing sounds. So there is only one speaker at the back over here and it sounds pretty good. So we do have like these really cheap devices now. I think, don't pay me on it, I think it was like right 30 bucks, but depends of course where do you live. Do you need to have like import costs and everything else? And sometimes will be shipped from a local warehouse. But it's always fun to check out like what's going on. And the loading times are fast as normal when it comes to loading. And again, like the performance can even be different if you're going to be making a backup this to a faster SD card. Because these cheap fake things are not the best and most of the time really slow. But performance wise, I don't see anything going on when it comes to the overall, let's say, performance. Like I don't see anything weird. Oh, there we go. Always when I'm saying something is not weird, something is completely messed up. Oh man, so let's check out the save function. It's kind of interesting we have the save function. Let's see if I can I make a save here? How does this actually work? Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's continue. Let's do the home button again. Let's load. Okay, that seems to be working fine. And it's also instant, even with the PlayStation. So that's really cool. So I think it's a very cool extra option, even for PlayStation, when it can make the quick load, quick save. I think I'm going to be hearing the sound in my sleep. So let's move to another PlayStation game. And the reason is very simple. I just wanted to check it out. Like, do we have any glitches or weird thing going on? Still, we don't have any aspect ratio, so it's quite unfortunate. We do have these minor hiccups, like with Finding Force had these weird glitches. But it's absolutely insane that we can just have like PlayStation at least running on such a cheap device. But so far so good. Did have some minor hiccups. There we go. You can just hear them, see them. I can not show you the frames per second because this mode is not enabled. But so far, so when it comes to emulation for PlayStation, it's actually playable and enjoyable. So moving on to the PC engine. So I'm not expecting some weird things going on with the emulation, but you never know. That's of course the reason why I love to test these things out, where you can just play these things on a freaking basic phone now, or I love to say on a potato device. You'll be surprised how bad some emulation can be. The downside is that we have seen with some other devices like the SF3000s that we had some overall okay performance with the buttons and everything else, but when it comes to emulation it was pretty bad, and the community did make an update, so we had like a lot of fixes. But so far so good with PC Engine, so we don't have any problem there. So moving on to some arcade, the unfortunate part is that when it comes to, like say, the menu over here, it's exactly the same like the previous game. So there is nothing much you can actually do there. So we cannot change out the overall aspect ratio. What is kind of funny is if you're going to be back in the menu, you can see that it is in the vertical mode. So there is something in the back end that is actually just triggering and showcasing that you can just mess around with the overall aspect ratio normally, but they had like shut it off. So that's quite unfortunate. Emulation performance of an arcade runs fine. We don't have any weird thing going on with the sound effects. But the downside is just clearly is that we cannot change the aspect ratio, so we're stuck with the widescreen shenanigans. I am really surprised how when it comes to playing some games like Neo Geo Art of Fighting, it's absolutely awesome to actually like experience these games on this thing. However, we do have like widescreen shenanigans like always, but the overall audio is good. Also, let's see how it goes with the joystick. And now we're going to be having my ass kicked over here. But they cannot do any moves. I can actually like move around with the D-pad, that's good. But if you want to do a move, it's absolutely impossible. So for fighting games, no, this is not going to be a fun overall experience. So what is kind of weird, so at first I was thinking, hey, is the battery life so bad? You can see that the indication is only like, let's say 25%. So, but when we're going to be back into the main menu, it's going to be normal again. Here we go. What the heck is going on? That's kind of weird. One other option I didn't mention before is pressing the R1 and the R2. So with the R1 we're going to be having scanning mode, and I think that is absolutely awesome. So let's search for some Street of Rage. Let's see. Oh, we're going to have bare knuckle. Okay. Let's see how I can go back to that menu. Can I press B delete our back? Okay. And in here we can actually go into the game. So that part works quite well. We need to use R2 for make like a favorite list. So the overall, let's say the way how this works, they did a great job when it comes to that. However, let's see what's going on when it comes to the audio. Okay. Audio of the Mega Drive seems to be, or the Genesis seems to be working fine. Ooh, sounds a little bit weird. But maybe this has to do because I'm actually having only one speaker. With the D-pad we can actually play fighting games, or at least fighting game, I mean beat 'em up games. Fighting games are absolutely horrible. Cannot do any moves whatsoever. I'm absolutely glad they did implement at least a normal D-pad if you're going to be looking at the previous model. But it's not like going to be the best D-pad for also for beat 'em ups. Let's be honest at that, because of the resistance of the D-pad. You need to press it quite hard to actually get some movement going on. So when it comes to that, the unfortunate part is only getting into games like this. Yeah, the Game Boy Classic, oh boy, this is like super widescreen, and you know what I don't get is like when you're having these devices, you think you will have like a lot of fixes, including some software issues like the widescreen shenanigans, but nope, they didn't fix that at all. Or we don't have any problem with the emulation, that seems to be working just fine. So yeah, the widescreen shenanigans is making it less overall enjoyable. But let's move to some Game Boy Advance. But how about playing some Game Boy Advance there? So where the overall experience is not, let's say, spot on when it comes to the resolution, I must say this is more enjoyable than actually playing some Game Boy Classic on this. Both the joystick and D-pad are configured so we can just play with both. So it's quite a loose joystick, but the overall fun about it, I must say that I do really enjoy playing it like that, where normally I'm a D-pad guy, but in my case I would rather like play with the analog stick, because the D-pad is so much way too sturdy and it really annoys me. Next up I wanted to try some Super NES to see what's going on, because Super NES is somehow always something they mess up with, a lot of these plug and play things. Also here I'm going to be using the analog stick to begin with. The audio sounds going to be a little bit weird, but okay, let's use the D-pad now. So where there is an OTG port, I was really curious if we can even have the option to implement or at least have like an HDMI out, but that is unfortunate not possible. But also implements for the controller. Try the Xbox controller. For me, if this thing doesn't work, in my opinion, it's absolutely rubbish. So the OTG port, it seems to be an OTG port, but I have no idea what to connect with because nothing seems to be working. So that's what we're getting with the SF3000, this brand new model. They improved a lot. And this thing is so much more better playable than the previous model, because that was absolutely a pure E-way situation. With this, many things has been improved, like the D-pad, the battery life. It's, for example, if you're looking at it now, just playing for a short time period, only 25% is left. So it will give you a couple of hours playtime, but it is not like something very special. D-pad is improved, but still not perfect. I do like the overall, let's say, analog stick. That is absolutely a very fun thing. The design is comfortable. It's a very nice design. Unfortunate, we don't. Unfortunate, we don't have an HDMI solution out, but I think for the money we cannot expect more. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget subscribing, hit the little bell, join me on the channel, and it would be great to see you in the next video.